Brack with breaking news tonight. After intense pressure, the White House has just released about 100 pages of emails that detail the back and forth between the CIA, the State Department, and the White House as they discussed the controversial talking points surrounding the attack on the U.S. diplomatic compound in Benghazi. Out front tonight, Representative Peter King of New York. He's on the House Intelligence Committee. He's been one of the most outspoken on this issue, demanding transparency. Good to see you, sir. Congressman, I know you've had a chance to read through these emails. I've had a chance to read through them. Are you satisfied? These are the answers that you need, and that they have given all the information?
Well, first of all, they haven't given all the information. There's still probably thousands of pages of emails, but even allowing just for these 100 pages, to me, this makes it clear in the final result, these were not CIA talking points. For instance, on page 61, you have the CIA Public Affairs Office saying, we revised these talking points because of State Department concerns. The changes are made because of the State Department, not because of what the CIA wanted to do. On page 95, you have the director of the CIA, General Petraeus, saying, I'd just as soon not use this. Then you have the director of the CIA say he'd rather not even use these talking points, but he said in the end it's the final call of the National Security Council. So these were not a CIA product. They were revised dramatically. And also, as you mentioned before, all the references to Al-Qaeda were taken out. You have Victoria Nuland saying she wanted the references to Al-Qaeda taken out because she said there's not enough evidence for her to defend that from the podium. Well, there also wasn't enough evidence to defend the fact that this attack resulted from a spontaneous demonstration, yet she wanted that kept in. So every doubt was resolved in favor of the administration's narrative that this was a spontaneous demonstration caused by a video.
And Congressman, let me follow up on that point, because as you point out, Victoria Nuland, the spokeswoman for the State Department, did raise a lot of concerns, right? She didn't want the warnings in there, which, of course, CNN's reporting, neither did Mike Morell. Also saying, don't blame Ansar al-Sharia when we're not sure, and I can't say that from the podium. But there is also another question I have to you, which is, from the very beginning of this email trail, Congressman King, the sentence is in here that these attacks in Benghazi were spontaneously inspired by the protests at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. Nobody, at least from these emails, from any part, not Petraeus, not the CIA, no one questions that. Is it possible that that is indeed what the CIA thought?
Well, let me tell you, I can't say what General Petraeus said at the first hearing, but I can tell you that he came back to testify, I guess, on November 16th after he left the CIA. And it was reported in the media that he said that from the very first moments he believed this was a terrorist attack. And obviously we know what the State Department people on the ground said, that it was a terrorist attack. I believe that there was a narrative put out by the White House early on, which has worked its way in from the start, because Petraeus himself said later on he thought it was terrorist from the start. We know from the testimony of the people on the ground that they thought it was terrorist. We know that Ambassador Stevens thought it was a terrorist attack. So again, I think this raises questions about the CIA, and also you have Mike Morell making these changes, apparently over the objections of David Petraeus, who's the director. So how does Morell, the #2 guy, get to make the changes when the director thinks that these changes should not be made?
Yeah, there does seem to be some discrepancy there, but it also seems, I mean, to ask you the question, are we ever going to find out who put those words in, spontaneously inspired by protests at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo? Because, of course, by this trail, it appears that that is what the CIA was done with and handed over for conversation. So it appears to back up the White House's assertion that that came from the CIA.
No, I agree that that's the way it's there. But again, if you go back to what General Petraeus said after he left the CIA, that he thought it was terrorist from the start. Now, if he thought it was terrorist from the start, and this is the question that I've asked, if he thought it was terrorist from day one, why did his initial talking points refer to it being a spontaneous demonstration? Was there White House interference from the start? Because, again, you know, the two just don't jive, especially when we hear the testimony of those who are on the ground, which the CIA had to have had access to.
And one final question, sir. Does this change your view on whether Hillary Clinton should be taking more of the blame? Obviously, the one person requesting, again, from the emails that we have, which are incomplete, but yet there are 100 pages of them, the one person requesting these changes in email is the spokeswoman for the State Department. Does that then go back to Hillary? Do you blame Hillary Clinton more, or is that an unfair thing to do?
No, listen, I have a great regard for Secretary Clinton, but I think she will have to answer in detail why this happened. Was she in contact with Victoria Nuland? Was she the one dealing with her directly? This happened below her level. How did this all come about? Now, I mean, obviously, Secretary Clinton is a key player here, and she will have to explain what happened and why it happened. And was Victoria Nuland acting on her own? Where did that come from? Why was she so intent on removing al-Qaeda? Why were they so definitive about that when there was, again, if we're going to go back to the original CIA talking points, if the spontaneous demonstration was in there, so was the references to al-Qaeda. Why did one come out and the other
All right, well, thank you
stay?
very much, Congressman King.